Rachel. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our first summer. I can say that because it's June. Way Forward Workshop Leader Lunch Break. And what better way to kick it off than to welcome Thea DeRosa Cerra. She is passionate about educational equity and ensuring that all of our children have access to books that will encourage them to imagine and thrive, and that include characters that look like them. She has found her home as executive director of the Cleveland Kids Book Bank, an amazing organization that in its youth has already distributed. I had a figure that I think is outdated, so I'm going to elevate it a little bit, and you can correct me, Thea. 3.5 million free books to children throughout Northeast Ohio, and they embrace 1,300 community partners to help them in doing this work. Thea came to the Cleveland Kids Book Bank with having held a number of leadership roles in the nonprofit community, including director of programs at the Cleveland Food Bank, where she served for almost 12 years before transitioning to City Year, where she served almost 5 years as director of development and then moving over to Cleveland Kids Book Bank. She's an AmeriCorps City Year alumni. She served on the boards of May Dugan Center and the Cleveland Young Professional 2030 Club. And under her leadership, the Cleveland Kids Book Bank was the finalist and winner of the Shower Group Century of Service Nonprofit Award for 2021. She is a proud alum of our Cleveland Bridge Builder program, and her favorite children's book is The Gruffalo. Thea, I turn it over to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Mary Ann, for that kind introduction. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here today. And as Mary Ann said, I am a Bridge Builder alumni, the first pandemic class and the best class ever, of course. And Adam and a couple of other of my classmates are on today. Thanks for joining. I was going to start with just kind of a quick mission and history of the book bank for those who don't know. And then I wanted to dive right into a new initiative we had this year called our Books Like Me campaign. So as Mary Ann said, the book bank has been around for almost over 6 years now, and in that time period, we have distributed over 3.5 million free books to children. And we've done most of that work in Cuyahoga County, and about a year ago, we started expanding into Lorain. And so Lorain County is another service territory of ours. We do this work through a network of 1,300 partners. When the founders started the book bank, they knew that they were not going to be going to homes handing out books. They knew to have like the best reach of children and the kind of the biggest bang for the buck was going to be to work with community partners that were already serving families and children in incredible ways. So CMSD, WIC, county home delivery agencies, after school programs, were all really, really big partners of the book bank in the early years. And then when COVID hit, we started partnering very strongly with the Greater Cleveland Food Bank and food pantries and preschools that stayed open early for families of essential workers. And in that time, we have grown a network of 1,300 partners, and we have about 8,000 volunteers who have come to the book bank to help us sort and pack books. And we're going to talk about ways that you can volunteer later. So our mission is to foster literacy and a love of reading at an early age so children build the habit of reading in the home. And we do that by distributing free, high quality, beautiful kids books. We want all children to have the ability to build home libraries, grab books off shelves, read to themselves, read to their siblings, give them to their parents or caregivers to read. It's all about building that habit of reading in the home. We know research shows us that one of the strongest predictors of access to academic success, regardless of your parents' income or education, is really access to books in the home. And that is what we are founded on. So after operating for about 6 years, we learned a few things about what we're doing and what our partners want. In 2021, we did a big partner survey to try to figure out, were our books having an impact, right? Were kids excited about them? Were they reading them? What did kids and families want? What did our partners want? We also wanted to gain a good understanding of who we were serving. And so we issued a partner survey, and a couple of big pieces of facts came back to us that really resonated with us. One was that about 84% of the children we were serving were children of color. And we also learned loud and clear that our partners and our kids and our families wanted books that looked like them. They wanted children to be able to see themselves in the stories they were reading. And so we had started when my predecessor, the former executive director and co-founder, retired, Judy Payne, we had started the Judy Payne Multicultural Book Fund as a way for folks to go on our website and earmark those dollars for us to purchase diverse books. So we were doing a little bit of this already, but when we heard loud and clear from the kids and the families and our partners that they wanted more diverse books, and when we saw the statistic that about 84% of the children we were serving were children of color, we knew that we had to do more. And so we created a campaign called the Books Like Me campaign. So I'm gonna share my screen to talk a little bit about this campaign. Can everyone see? Okay, we're good? Okay. So the Books Like Me was a campaign that we ran in the month of April. And really it was a 4-week campaign. It kind of snuck into May, but it was really to help us raise funds to purchase and distribute new diverse books to the kids and families that we are serving. So we put together a committee, and our committee was made up of some local authors, our board, other community members. And as we started to put this campaign together, I kept telling everybody, we are building this boat in the water. This was our first year doing it. We were learning a lot. We were getting a lot of feedback from our committee, and every week there was a new element to this campaign. And so our overall goal this year is to distribute 40,000 brand new diverse books. And so one of our main focuses of this campaign, one of 3, was to raise funds so that we could purchase 40,000 brand new diverse books. Another element to this campaign was to engage community groups. We realized through the survey and through some other conversations that there were a lot of community groups, social organizations, alumni associations, businesses and fraternities who just did not know who the Kids Book Bank was. And then as we were doing this research, we started meeting amazing local authors who were writing beautiful stories, focusing on children of color. And we thought, how cool could it be if we used our platform to also highlight and share the work of local authors and what they are doing? So our campaign started with one focus and kind of broadened into 3, and that was okay because they all felt like they went together really, really well. So we started with kind of putting together some co-chairs. We thought we needed a voice and someone who had some reach in the community to kind of get behind this campaign. And so we asked JB and Nikki Bickerstaff. JB is the coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and Nikki is his wife. And Nikki has been a longtime supporter of the book bank since they really moved to town when JB took over. And they said yes immediately because diverse books are really important in their home. And so we used kind of JB and Nikki Bickerstaff to help us get the word out with some early press coverage and videos and engaging the community and sharing our story in their networks. I just kind of want to reiterate a little bit about the why of this campaign before I go any further. We receive incredible, beautiful, gently used books from our local community. We have book bins in 14 communities. Many of you have probably seen them or have possibly held a book drive. And they're wonderful books, and they are beautiful and they are loved. The problem is that they're not very diverse. And so most of our donated books feature white families and animal families. And this is because if you look at this chart on the screen, in children's publishing, there is a significant lack of diversity when it comes to publishing children's books. So this chart just kind of shows you that half of all books published feature white families, and then the next largest category is animal families. So there is a lot of work to do on a systemic issue when it comes to BIPOC individuals going into becoming authors and publishing books, and what access is available to them at different publishing companies. And when we learned this is kind of why highlighting and talking about our local authors became even more important to our campaign, because we felt like this was a local solution where we could help some of our local authors promote their work and sell their stories in our community. There's also a statistic that talks about books being windows and mirrors that really resonates with us. And so book being a mirror is when you're reading a story and you see yourself and your family in that story. There's a lot of research that talks about a child's ability to connect with that story, to retain that information, and to just overall learn reading on a higher level when they are connecting with a family or a character that looks like them. And books being windows. All children should read books about families who look different from them. It helps to develop empathy in the real world. And so this windows and mirrors concept really spoke to us as we broadened this campaign. So just kind of going back to one of our original goals of raising enough money to purchase 40,000 brand new books this year, we created some corporate sponsorship opportunities. And we were really, really lucky to have some wonderful companies join us early on to sponsor the campaign. And through this corporate sponsorship, they made a gift to the book bank. There were some VIP volunteer opportunities where folks can come in with their teams and they could do sip and sorts. So bring your own alcohol if you want, and you can sort and sip books for us, and have a tour of the warehouse. And we also did spotlights of our corporations who sponsored the event. So here's just kind of a snapshot of our corporate sponsors. And then for the community engagement piece, we really worked hard to try to recruit community organizations that maybe were not as familiar with us or that we wanted to strengthen a partnership with, and ask them to be community partners. So reposting our messages on social media, bringing groups in to volunteer, doing a virtual book drive for us. And we had about 11 different community organizations sign up for our community partnership opportunity. So we are still wrapping up this campaign, but a couple of successes that I wanted to share are, our initial goal was, we thought if we raised $30,000 this month, that would be a big chunk of money that we could put towards purchasing those 40,000 books. Northeast Ohio, as we all know, is an incredibly generous community, and we are close to 70,000 raised from our Books Like Me campaign. So we know we will be able to purchase those 40,000 brand new diverse books and get them out to kids this summer and for back to school events in the fall, which we are really excited about. We were also really excited about the new organizations that we met as a result of the campaign. I mean, we really probably had about 7 organizations who had never heard of us, didn't know about us, come do a tour and volunteer, and that was really exciting. And we're looking forward to kind of building those relationships with those new groups as we go. And we received some incredible press, which we didn't, this was our first year in the campaign. We didn't have the strongest press strategy, I will just be honest, but we received some coverage from Channel 19 and WKYC, and that was really exciting. We saw immediately our followers on social media increase more significantly than they typically do in a month as a result of that press coverage. A couple of areas that we want to kind of focus on for next year, some lessons learned, is we need to start earlier, is what we learned. We need to start probably in the fall. And we need to get information out to our partners earlier on ways that they can support, so that decision makers have time to figure out how and in what ways they want to support the campaign. We need more hands on deck. We were all a little bit caught off guard at the opportunities to participate in lunch and learns with corporations and doing tours of the warehouse. So having more hands on deck, I think, would be really, really important. And I think next year we're going to dream a little bit bigger. We didn't know where to set a baseline this year, and now we kind of have a baseline to set a dream a little bit higher for what next year's campaign looks like. And I will just add, and then I will turn it over to Q&A, that while the official campaign is over, if you are interested in learning more about the Books Like Me campaign or just how to get involved with the book bank, you can always email me. My email is thea@kidsbookbank.org. But we have volunteer shifts in our warehouse. We're located right in Midtown, Tuesday through Saturday. So we always need volunteers to sort and pack books in our warehouse. This summer, we have committed to, I think, like 40 different distribution events. That's where we take a pop-up book fair and give books away for free to kids at their school for summer school, at a rec center, at a faith-based organization. And we need volunteers to help us man those tables. Nothing is more fun than passing out books to kids and talking to them about what books they're excited to see. And of course, we're a nonprofit, so financial gifts are always welcome, and that is able to be done right on our website as well. So I will, Rachel, turn it over to you, right, for questions.
Great, Thea, thank you so much. All the work that the book bank is doing is making such a difference in the community. And you mentioned really wanting to elevate local authors. So who are a few favorite local authors that you want to be sure to highlight today?
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. That's a great question. We've met so many, and if you go on our Facebook page, you'll see over a dozen that we highlighted through the month of the campaign. A few that we've worked really closely with. One, Joanne Smith. She has written a couple of stories about her grandma's ice cream shop and her son going to college, and those books are incredible. Margaret Bernstein was involved in the founding of the book bank, and she has some beautiful stories about the relationship between fathers and sons. Martinique Mims is a younger childhood author, and she has written her first book, The Colors of a Butterfly, which is just a beautiful story. And Nikki Gregory has written a book called FLOTUS about Vice President Harris. So FLOTUS, which is just a beautiful story with great illustrations.
And throughout your work, you've mentioned so many partnerships and collaborations that are essential to achieve the success of the book bank. Can you share a bit more about who you regularly partner with and what have been some of the key steps or best practices to be able to create those successful partnerships?
Yeah, that's a great question, Rachel. I think I'll start with probably county home delivery agencies such as WIC, Right Beginnings. When the book bank was founded, our founders, they just knew quickly we needed to meet with the people who had great relationships with kids. And the thought was, WIC and other county home delivery agencies, they're going into families' homes on a regular basis. Case managers have a relationship with families already. Families trust them. So why not offer them a free book that they can take on their visits? And at the end of their visit, they could take a couple minutes to talk to the caregiver or the parent about, reading in the home, or maybe even reading the book with the parent or caregiver to build up their confidence in reading the book to their child or who they are caring for. And that model was so successful so quickly because of the relationship with the case manager and the families that they were serving. And the response that we got was just tremendously positive and overwhelming about how wonderful it was to kind of close out a visit on a great note, talking about a kid's book and leaving a gift with kids and families. We also learned that teachers continue to be amazing. So building really, really strong relationships with teachers. We started with CMSD, we're in Cleveland and that's our biggest school district. So figuring out who the teachers were in the schools that could help us spread the word to other teachers about ordering books from us. Teachers know their kids so well. They know what their kids like. They can make special requests. They know how to bundle books for summer. They know how to put together books for after school reading clubs. So I would say that was an instrumental part. And then during COVID, when everything shut down, we really paused, right? We shut down for 6 weeks like everybody else. And we thought, if we're going to reopen, how are we going to do this? Because schools and WIC and all of that were not up and running. And so it was kind of this thought of, where are families going right now? Families who need help, who are being hit the hardest by the pandemic, where are they going and where can we meet them? So food pantries in the Greater Cleveland Food Bank became a natural partnership, and preschools who stayed open really early on also became a really natural partnership. And I think the theme through all of that is we have been really fortunate to just think about who would be strong partners, find them, talk to them, and figure out a model of book distribution that works for us and them so that the kids and families that they are supporting can benefit.
So you mentioned the pandemic, and so many organizations had to really think outside of the box in order to meet the needs and provide services. So what are some of those innovations that you're really proud of, and what are some that might be sticking around kind of as we move beyond the pandemic?
Yeah, so food pantry partnerships are like a no-brainer. We should have been doing it before the pandemic. So those partnerships are not going to go away. We also created a delivery route during the pandemic. So prior to COVID, all of our partners came to our warehouse. They came inside to pick up books. So our staff, who are incredibly inventive, created an outdoor pickup area. So partners who wanted to pick up during COVID, those early days, remember when we didn't know if COVID transferred on materials or what that looked like, they could come, get their order outdoors, load it into their car, and it would be contactless and easy. And then we recruited volunteers who wanted to do something to deliver to preschools. So again, all contactless. So volunteers could come pick up the order from outside, put it in their car, deliver the boxes of books to the doorsteps of the preschools, call the preschool to say, hey, your books are outside. And we learned through doing this volunteer delivery route that our partners needed and wanted delivery regularly, that they could take more books more often and more frequently with delivery. So we have actually since purchased a 15-foot used box truck, and we've hired a driver who works part-time with us, and we now have a delivery route for our partners, and that is something else that's not going to go away.
And now, as you look ahead, kind of as at the organization as a whole, what challenges lie ahead, and how are you working to address those?
Yeah, that's a great question. Space is a challenge. So for those who have been to the book bank, we are in, it's about a 5,000 square foot warehouse in a really old building in Midtown. And when we found this space, there was one staff member, the founding executive director, and a lot of books. And so 6 years later, we have 4 full-time staff, and we have 3 part-time staff, and we have some temporary help. And we have, big groups of volunteers who want to come in and participate. And we are just really constrained by our 4 walls and our crumbling roof. So that's a big challenge for us. What does the next phase of the book bank look like? How do we plan 3 to 5 years out for what that looks like? What's cost effective so that we can continue to put most of our dollars into purchasing books and partnerships?
And do you have thoughts about replicating your model nationally?
That's a great question. So there are about 12 book provision type organizations that meet quarterly around the country. Our models are not all exactly the same, but we all have some element of giving free books to kids. So we meet regularly to just kind of share best practices and talk about things. And so I don't know, we talk about, could something more come from this, right? Could there potentially be some sort of umbrella one day that we all belong to and share some services? But that's kind of as far as we've gotten when thinking national.
And do you see opportunities to collaborate with other organizations that focus on literacy to really make an impact?
Yes, that's a great question and something we are thinking through. We kind of call that strategic partnerships. So we have a few of those. Daily Dose of Reading is an organization that kind of tutors kids through like this play curriculum around a book. And so we are partnering with them where we provide them with the book. So at the end of the week, the book that they do this play curriculum with, the children can take it home and have it in their home library. And so we're doing some kind of research and surveying on the impact of that. Dickens Reads is another program at a CMSD school where we're purchasing books specifically for that program, and an intervention specialist is going in and kind of doing a curriculum. And again, the kids get to take the book home. And so we want to think of how to do more of that, kind of what's the win-win for the child and the family and the other organization and for us. But I think that those are important relationships that we kind of need to continue to figure out.
So as you look at the types of requests that you're getting for books, are there other trends that you're seeing in the types of books that children are looking for right now?
Dogman. Kids love Dogman. I don't get it, but they love Dogman. It's weird. I don't know. I think Marvel comics are kind of on the rise. Marvel, any sort of superhero, Harry Potter type always is something that's really, really exciting and kids and partners really, really enjoy. We've gotten a few, but not many requests for STEM stories, right? Where the child or the family is doing some sort of STEM activity.
I think I've got a whole set of Dogman that might be coming your way relatively.
Yeah, we'll take them. Love them. I don't get it.
So Thea, as you look ahead, what do you see as the future of the Cleveland Kids Book Bank? What's your vision for, say, the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, a new space to welcome books and volunteers. And I think figuring out kind of what other counties make sense for us to form partnerships with, like we have with Lorraine. And a third part of that is book sourcing. Book sourcing is interesting, right? It kind of ebbs and flows and there's ups and downs. And so how do we kind of focus on book sourcing by community members doing book drives and getting the word out to purchasing used books for, pennies to the book? What is the best mix for us and the kids and the families that we're serving when it comes to book sourcing?
And if individuals are interested to know who you currently partner with, if they have ideas for new partnerships, how do they find that information and share ideas with you?
Yeah, so we have one of our most recent hires is a community outreach director. She is on maternity leave right now. So in the meantime, you can contact me, but Jessica Walsh-Fraser is our community outreach director. And she always helps make connections with partners or expansion in what that looks like. But feel free to reach out to me and we can talk through that.
And I will be sure to share the website and your email in our follow-up email. So Thea, we quickly ran through our time today, but the work that you all are doing is just amazing to help our children see themselves in books and have access to books. So thank you for all that you do.
Thanks so much, Rachel. And thank you everyone for listening in today.